Thanks to the City of BRIMBANK across our neighbourhood and the world, Soul Dive with AD, Roshani and Lydia on BRIMBANK Live on Live FM.
Welcome back to Soul Dive on BRIMBANK Live's Live FM. You're listening to your girls AD, Roshani and Lydia, and we're joined by the awesome Usman Mani all the way from Canberra. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We want to get right into it. There's just so much to talk about. Can you tell us in your own words in a few minutes what your background is and what your beliefs are?
Sure. So I'm originally born in Pakistan, and that's a Muslim majority country. So as you can tell, I'm obviously Muslim, and I've been a practicing Muslim since I was a kid. That had a bit of period of like on and off in terms of practicing. My parents are very influential in my religion and my day-to-day life as well. So I do my best in terms of practicing, and we do sort of pray 5 times a day. I'm not sure how much you know about my religion and stuff, so I'll try and fill you in just briefly. So yeah. So basically the 5 daily prayers are the sort of cusp of what we do, and they stand firm in terms of our pillars of belief as well. So if you're practicing 5 times a day, it's all about the awareness of God. So the first prayer we have is like before sunrise, and the second one is sort of midday. The third one is in the afternoon. The fourth one is after sunset, and the last one is roughly around before bedtime. So as you can see, like throughout the day, you're really taking your time out. It's about maybe 10 minutes max out of your day to sit down and sort of just relate back to God, everything that's been going on, and just sort of find yourself again throughout the day and really connect back with your roots and everything, so that you understand that all of this is going on around you, but you take the time out to just sort of connect back with God and sort of get back to your roots. I think that's the most important thing for people who actually believe in Islam and people who have that connectedness with God. Like that's the main concept that we sort of strive for.
That's beautiful. That just reminds me of like Buddha's practice of mindfulness, but it's just the Islam version of mindfulness. And it's 5 times a day, checking in with yourselves. Whereas Buddhist practices don't, I guess, have how many times you're supposed to do it a day. So that's pretty cool. And as a young person, like what keeps you on your spiritual path? I know a lot of us when we were younger, we struggled with really getting it and really understanding it.
Definitely. I think when I was younger, like you definitely have periods where you're like, I guess your faith is a bit stronger or a bit higher in some ways, and other times, it's a bit lower, or you're not feeling as connected, I'd say. And for me, it was just going to my local mosques and attending the prayers there. For men especially, like it's basically we have to go to the mosque and pray. Like we shouldn't be praying at home. It's about sort of the connectedness with the community. It's about the brotherhood within the religion. It's about also seeing who else is out there within the religion that might need a hand or a helping and with something. So you meet these people and you sort of build this sort of small community within the religion itself. So it gives you a greater understanding of what's going on around you and what's going on in the smaller community. So for me, it was also the fact that I was able to find younger guys that were also devoted in some way, shape or form. And we actually started doing a bit of dawah work, which basically is just providing information to other Muslims or non-Muslims. And we would go to a local farmers market every weekend, and we'd set up a little stall and we'd hand out information and like pamphlets and stuff. And a lot of it was just sort of talking to people about the misconceptions they had about our religion due to, media and the representation we have on media, unfortunately, at the time. And all that. So there was a lot of that. And you had people that didn't like the fact that we were doing that. And then on the other hand, you'd also have people that were really happy to see us there, and they'd come and they'd talk to us every week and they'd be like, you guys are doing a really great job and keep at it and that sort of thing. So that was a really good good experience for me. And it sort of really impacted me in a positive way, because it made me feel like, what I was doing was really good, not just for me, but the fact that people were reciprocating it meant that it was something positive for everyone.
That's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. And, if we had more time on the show and just had you the whole time, we would have gone down our misconceptions route, where we try to dismantle some misconceptions we have around different things.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. What's the biggest, well, let's do one. What's the biggest misconception about Islam that you can tell us?
There's so many. I think for me, the one that sort of strikes home the most is the women's sort of rights, and sort of like how the idea of like women being treated or mistreated in Islam is. And I think that like the idea of feminism being such a great and powerful movement at the moment, I think people misunderstand that Islam was a religion that came around maybe a long time ago, so 1400 years ago, and it gave rights to women back then. For example, if women are to get married, they have their own allowance, they're allowed to work, they're allowed to have their own set of money, and a lot of people don't, I think, know that. So that concept in itself is that the independence of a woman, even though she's married, is still there. It's not that she's tied to the man or she's tied to the family or anything like that. She's allowed to move on her own. She's allowed to do all those sort of things. The misconceptions come about as a result of culture and context from the religion, from the country, itself. And that's been carried on from generation to generation. And that was there even prior to Islam as well. So I think Islam sort of came as in my mind, something to free not just us from our bondages and so forth, but also the mental bondages that we have in life as well, just to spiritually free ourselves from life itself, if that makes sense.
It's powerful. And don't ask me why I know this. I seem to find myself in like the sexy parts of holy texts, including the Bible, Song of Solomon's. And I know in Islam, they talk quite in depth about how to treat a woman, not just outside, but inside the home and inside the bedroom. And you know what I mean? Like there's so much respect towards women. And like you said, it is culture that just kind of drives things in the name of religion, and then the lines get blurred. So thank you so much. That was a really good one. You're listening to Soul Dive on BRIMBANK Live's Live FM with your girls AD, Roshani, and Lydia, and we are joined by Usman Mani. All right, so Usman, how do you think your spirituality affects the way you interact with other people who may not believe in the same thing?
I think it definitely has a positive impact, because it allows me to understand that, yes, I have this, and I have this connectedness. And for me, the most important thing is the connectedness with God. And that's the most common, I think, pillar for a Muslim, is that, we're aware of God throughout our day-to-day life. And obviously going back to the prayers, we're remembering God 5 times a day. And for me, I have to take that, I shouldn't take that, for granted, that, I have something like this and I should share it with those around me and so forth. So I take that as a duty or a task, as a message to be, proclaimed to other people around me. And at the end of the day, even though I do that, then I leave it to God just to decide as to whether the person who I'm passing the message on to is going to accept it or not. It's their own call. It's not something that I have any say over, whether they, are here to convert or not, anything like that. It's not my job at all. All I'm there to do is just sort of pass on the message. And when it comes to people who aren't necessarily religious, I've had quite a few friends who aren't religious, and we've, sat and talked for hours about like philosophy and small things like that, are really embedded within the religion itself. And they have a different take on it. And it's always really interesting for me to sort of understand where they're coming from too. And just having that open forum and that open debate to discuss things. And, never know, maybe later on down the track, they might call you up later and be like, oh, I really liked what you were saying about this, and this concept, it really sort of resonates with me. And I've had that before. People have come and talked to me, a week later or a little while afterwards and been like, I really like that. And I think I really sort of understand where that comes from. And they might not necessarily believe, but the fact that they're saying even those small things back just sort of gives you that feedback, that what you're doing is a really good thing, even though that person might not necessarily understand the whole concept. They understand bits and pieces. It means that you're making a small difference.
That's beautiful. And just last but not least, because, we've got to wrap up. What are some words of encouragement for the next person? I mean, we all are going through this pandemic. Us a little more so than what's going on in Canberra, I believe. But we've still been through it all year. And I'm sure, people will benefit from some words of encouragement from you.
Sure. Look, for me, I think the most important thing is to stick with your family. I think that spending that extra time with loved ones and really not sort of getting lost within yourself and sort of, realizing, oh God, I've got all this extra time and, I'm working from home as well and all that sort of stuff. I think really enjoy these moments because, we're not sure how things are going to go in the future. Everything's very unpredictable at the moment. So really take the time out to sort of enjoy the small relationships you have with your family. And I think one other thing that I've started to do recently was I started doing a bit of yoga and a bit of, I'm not sure if you're aware of the Iceman. He basically has these methods to control, to deal with anxiety and depression and also increase body fitness and all that sort of stuff as well. So I'm a football coach. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier, but I do football coaching and I sort of do fitness as well along with that. So the reason I'm tying all this in is I quite really enjoy what he does, the Iceman, and his method is called the Wim Hof method. I'd encourage people to look it up and, follow it and stuff.
Where can people find you if they want to ask any more questions?
Where can they find me? You can find me on Facebook, Usman Mani. Look me up, send me a message. Always happy to chat to people and sort of converse. I love doing that. Meeting new people is always fascinating to see, what sort of angle they have on life is always fun for me. So yeah, thanks very much for having me on the show, Eddie. It was a pleasure.
That was so good. And it was so insightful. And hopefully a lot of people get to hear this and learn a little bit about Islam, that it's not just, some sort of oppressive religion, which leads by, killing people. These are all of the misconceptions that, I hear around. My father's a Muslim as well. So he withdraws though. He doesn't go around trying to convert nobody or talk to anyone. He's just completely like shut off. Us kids are like naughty as hell. And he's like, you're going to get judged all on your own. All on your own. I'm like, okay, daddy. So thank you so much. I really appreciated you coming on. So we were listening to Usman Mani.
With thanks to the City of Brimbank across our neighbourhood and the world, Soul Dive with AD, Roshani and Lydia on Brimbank Live on Live FM.